Hey guys, Andrew Esquivel here, back with another update to one of my fish tanks. Now this fish tank is my blue Moscow guppy breeding tank, and there's a little bit of interesting stuff going on with this tank. So right now we've got a decent bit of males and a decent number of females, and if you're wondering what this green thing is in the middle here, let me explain. You see, the boys have gotten old enough to where they can inseminate the females, and the females, although still young, are at that point where they're, getting close to being able to become pregnant. Except for the two mama fish right here. Those are the two original mothers to all the fish here. So, with the exception of those two, I want to keep the boys and the girls separate. So, I had to get a tank divider. Now, I had the best of intentions when I got an acrylic tank divider to try and keep things looking nice, but unfortunately, you look and you see the acrylic tank divider's got a bunch of holes to let water through. Well, it turns out the male guppies, even though they're, almost of adult age, can swim right through the holes. So I had to apply one of my older tank dividers that I made custom, which is a mesh on top of the acrylic divider, which is, okay, because the acrylic divider is, well, a rigid structure, and the mesh, I just used some string to tie onto the acrylic tank divider, so it's not permanent, but it holds on very well. And I thought, great, should be good now, right? Nope. Now the acrylic tank divider came with, here, let me grab it really quick. These, which is like suction cups, then you'd slide over the acrylic tank divider and would suction cup onto the wall, the glass, keep it in place. Problem: there was a small gap in between the tank divider because of this. That allowed, once again, the boys to be able to get through the tank divider near the girls. That wasn't working either, so I had to come up with another solution. I went to Home Depot, PetSmart, and, looked online, talked to some people on the internet, and, well, the best solution I could think of is foam. Now, this is a high-density polyurethane foam with no added chemicals to it. This is just the base polyurethane foam. It's a petroleum product, but don't worry, it doesn't have any negative effect on the fish. And basically what I did is I made a 2x2 square and made it so that it was an elongated piece. So it was like a square pillar, I guess you'd say. And then I cut a slit down the center of it, not all the way through, of course. And I slid the acrylic divider into the slit on both sides. And since this is squishable, it makes a completely perfect seal on both sides. So now, it's been a few days, and none of the boys have been able to cross over and mingle with the girls, thankfully. So that is what the big green thing is there for. Now, by no means is this a show tank. This tank is designed to provide them everything they need to stay healthy. And, they've got a few extra tank mates. There's 2 bushy-nosed plecos. And they're really only there to help keep the glass clean. But let's talk about the blue Moscow guppies. So, blue Moscow guppy females don't look anything particularly special. They're just bare colors, and that's just how they are. But the males are super pretty, because the idea of a blue Moscow guppy, if I can find a good example, is that their entire body will be blue from nose to tail, in the same color blue preferably. Now, here's the thing. It takes a really long time for them to develop their entire body color. Generally, from what I'm understanding, about 8 to 9 months for the line to develop fully. Now, they don't have to get to 8 to 9 months to the point to where they can, become sexually mature and inseminate the females. That's a problem, because when breeding blue Moscow guppies, you want to selectively breed. The Moscow guppy males that have the best color, best spinal alignment, best finnage is the one you want to breed with the girls. If the colors are off, if they have a deformity of some sort, you don't want them passing on that genetic set to the girls, because then you end up with a bunch of babies with the undesirable traits. So you need to separate them before their colors fully develop, even though they're sexually mature before then, so that they don't get all the girls pregnant. Preferably, you'd want to separate the girls before they can be inseminated. So, you know, having virgin girls in this case would be the best case scenario. But let's face it, guppies are almost always pregnant. Granted, the average size of most of the girls are still pretty small, so I'm sure a few of them are still virgins. With obviously, not counting the original 2 motherfish, that's one of them, and down there is one of the other motherfish, which is heavily pregnant at the moment. Now, you might be wondering, okay, well, these are all girls, and let's say they are all virgins except for that mama fish right there who's obviously pregnant. What do I do with the girls, the babies? Because guppies eat their babies because they give live birth. Well, for right now, I have my hospital tank as a guppy fry tank at the moment. Normally, I would use a breeder net, and that does fine. But I wanted to see if the guppies develop any better in their own tank. So for right now, that's the tank they're in, and this tank's a little messy because I just did a water change today on all the tanks, and detritus gets knocked up everywhere, and you know, it looks messier than it really is. But there's a bunch of blue Moscow guppy fry in there, and actually they came from the mama fish right here, because this mama fish with the lighter blue tail, she had been sick with the swim bladder disease for the past few months. She was vertical forwards at one point and then backwards, and then she just couldn't get her footing, and she was just doing awful. But after over a month in the hospital tank with, you know, just some basic medicines like Melafix and some freshwater aquarium salt, she did a lot better and perked up eventually. And while in here, she ended up, within that month, having babies. And after she had the babies, a lot of her swim bladder issues went away. And after some more careful observation, she is now doing a lot better in terms of her ability to swim. She's not 100% fully recovered yet, but she is starting to get very close to the point where she is, you know, A-okay. And since I have the divider set up perfectly now, she doesn't have to worry about being antagonized by the boys constantly. Because let's face it, when the males start to get with the females, they don't leave the girls alone. So, that is the Blue Moscow breeding tank. The Blue Moscow guppy breeding tank. It's a 40-gallon breeder, so the males have 20 gallons, the girls have 20 gallons. You might be wondering, what do I do with the males that don't pass the test of color and finnage and spinal alignment? Well, I cull them from the herd, but generally they do have some really interesting colors. Like, there's 2 of them in here that are like a teal green from head to tail, and I sell them at a big discount of like $5 each. Now, you might say, discount $5 each, they're guppies. Well, here's the thing about, you know, Moscow guppies. Because they're not like cobras where their colors will come up within the first, you know, 2 months, and then you can market them as this kind of cobra or that kind of cobra. Their whole body has to get the entire color, and you have to determine if their color is going to stay that way through adulthood. And it takes a lot longer, like I said, 8 to 9 months from birth to the point where you can actually officially say, hey, it's this color, and, you know, sell it for certain that it's going to be that color without any changes. And because of that, it also takes a longer time to breed them because it takes longer to select the good males to breed with the good females. So, because so much more time is involved with the process, Moscow guppies cost more. On average, a black Moscow guppy, blue Moscow guppies tend to sell for about $40 a trio. So that's 2 females and 1 male. Now, that's a lot more expensive than the average guppy. That being said, they are a more pretty fish, if you ask me. Here's one of my more active swimmers. But he's not, a perfect color. And here's one of my green teal ones. But, but that's the thing, is they can get way more expensive than that. The real red albino eye, full red Moscow guppies from championship winning lineages easily go over $100 a trio. So, depending on how well the guppies are bred, determines their price, because, like I said, a lot of work and tender care, loving care have to go into, maintaining the genetics and breeding them properly. So, this is a very long-term project. I had gotten my set of guppies, a male and 2 females. I got my trio from someone on eBay, and they did not give me a very good set. The male was not what I had wanted, and he gave me 2 females that are very different. And the 2 females were already pregnant, so I got a lot of work kind of fixing the person's mess that they gave me. Oh, that's another thing, is only buy from someone who's, got some reputable breeding experience behind them, because some people just let them breed constantly without culling and refining as much as they should, and that ends up causing the fish to lose a lot of what they were originally bred to have. So I have to redo the work, and it's going to take a long time. But you know what? It's part of the hobby. It's part of the fun, and it's just it's an adventure. Let's put it like that. So, anywho, that's the Blue Moscow Guppy breeding tank. Hope you enjoyed the little video and the whole spiel about how things work and why they're more expensive. And, as always, stay fishy.